investors.
I am here with the Property Challenge podcast.
I teach investors all around the world how to become real estate investors and
how to overcome their challenges. Join me here every single week. PCP, the Property Challenge podcast.
When I started this podcast and when I said, what am I going to talk about? I said the best name is
the Property Challenge.
Hey investors, welcome back to another episode of the Property Challenge podcast with me, your host, Terrica Lynn Smith. And today, I want to talk with you guys about bad partnerships, right? Like those nightmare partnerships. And I don't think that they're talked about enough. I think a lot of them are swept up under the rug. But in real estate, if you are getting involved with a business partner, you're creating a JV, which is a joint venture, or you're creating an actual full-fledged partnership where y'all going to have an equity ownership position inside of a company. I want to prepare you guys how to stay away from those nightmare partnerships through experiences that I myself have went through. And I find that there are a few points that I realized maybe if this would have been a little bit more clear, things probably would have went different. Sometimes you just enter into bad partnerships and you've seen the red flags before and you just ignore them. And or you can just be completely blindsided by someone's personal circumstance or whatever the case may be. And so over the past 20-some years that I've been doing real estate, I've come to realize, number one, I trust my discernment first. So in regards to a nightmare partnership, when I can pinpoint where it went wrong was that I had a feeling about this particular person, but because there were so many accolades and so many, receipts, if you would, because a lot of times good partnerships come with receipts, right? You would just think naturally that this is going to be a great partnership. But you got something in your gut that says something is not right about that person. And so I found myself being able to pinpoint back to that moment of when I said, this is not the right person I should be in business with. And every single time I went against my discernment, I have been punched in the face. I have been publicly humiliated. I have been talked about. I have been seen as the one-eye monster, whatever it is you want to call me, right? And the reason why that takes place is because when you able to get to a place where now you're discerning what's going on, then they want to make you out to be the bad guy. And so I have been a bad guy in so many different partnerships and relationships and so many different things. And you know what I've come to realize? I'm okay with being a bad guy, especially when I did not listen to my discernment. The reason why I'm a bad guy is because I did not listen to my discernment in the first place. And so if you're a praying individual like myself, if you're God-fearing like myself, and if you believe truly of discerning of spirits in people, then you need to trust your discernment and don't allow yourself to diminish it based off of what you see, like with the circumstances. That's been my issue. And so one of the things I wrote down was that, we have different goals, and then, you start off with the same goal, but eventually you realize y'all don't really have the same goals. And I was involved in a partnership where this person was going to come in and they were going to oversee and build out a certain amount of homes for me. Well, when this person first came in, they were all excited. I was excited. I just created this new partnership. We're going to build out this phase completely with this individual. And we couldn't get past the first house. I mean, we were going back and forth. I'm like, why is this so difficult? Like, it's not that hard to build a house. Why are we going back and forth? But again, like I said, I diminished my discernment based off of accolades, and I allowed myself to move forward because it's my own fault why I'm in this situation. I allowed myself to move forward in this partnership, and it just became a nightmare. So whenever, he's supposed to be at the job site, he's not there. Well, what were my expectations, right? My expectations was, as the builder and the project manager of this project, you would be there daily overseeing the people that's working. Why wouldn't you be at the job site daily? How would you know what's going on? How would you avoid waste? How would you know that the people are doing the work, the craftsmanship the right way? The only way to know that is by being there, because these subcontractors, they can cover up a whole lot of things whenever you don't have somebody watching them and holding them accountable. And so we would go back and forth about that. And I realized, why are we so different on this? I thought we had the same goal to build out the entire community together. Well, overall, on the surface, we had the same goal. But whenever we went below the surface, when we went inside the deal, we had different goals. He was like, I would have never signed up for this if I knew I had to be here every day. I got so many other projects going on. I'm like, whoa. How you all of a sudden have so many more projects going on and you was excited to build out the first 30 of these homes? So again, not having that conversation and mapping that out and clearly detailing what the roles and responsibilities are and what your expectations are in that partnership is very important, because that contractor, that partnership that we did with him, he ended up walking off of the job. Now, you got to understand how important this is, right? He was the builder on file. So you can't just pick up a hammer and nails and start finishing a new construction house. You got to find a whole nother builder that's going to be willing to warrant the work that this builder did, that this other builder who's coming in have never even, he wasn't there for the actual process. So you asking somebody to blindly accept that this house was built correctly and that everything moving forward would be on them. That's very hard to do, because I don't know no contractor or builder that would sign off on somebody else's foundation without being there to witness that this foundation was built correctly. So when he walked out the job, he walked out the partnership. Now, what took place was that now we have this financial situation that he has put us in, and now he's due X amount in the partnership, but we can't pay X amount because he have left in the middle of the partnership. So with his conniving ways, he want to try to put pressure. He want to do, evil things. He want to steal things off the property. It was just dumb, right? It was just like, what the heck? Like, did I get into a relationship with Satan himself? Like, did I just sign the contract with the devil? Oh my gosh, I am freaking out, But I held myself together, and I said, how can I get through this? Like, how can I get through this? How can I push through? Now, one thing I do operate in is faith. So I'm not typically one who's going to get knocked down and stay down. I'm the kind that get back up, right? And so because of that, I was knocked down, but I just couldn't stay down. So I ended up going through quite a few new contractors to create this new partnership who was signed off on the middle of a job. And we found someone who was able to carry us through the next few phases that we had. But that situation could have been avoided if I would have just trusted my discernment. I knew something wasn't right with him. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something wasn't right. But everybody else around me was stamping off on him. He had everybody else approval. Everybody just, they praised the ground he walked on. This person is so great, blah, blah, blah. And come to find out, this person is not so great. And guess what? Y'all have not done business with him to know that. Y'all going off of what y'all hear somebody else say. And so as an investor, I want to challenge you to trust that discernment first. Right? Because when I found out we had different goals, our relationship started going sideways really, really fast. And then eventually, like I said, he ended up leaving the property. Now, we eventually put somebody else in place of it. I made sure with this one, I wasn't just surface level. I went into the weeds of it. Hey, I expect you to be here every single day. I expect this type of craftsmanship, right? I expect these type of inspections. I expect these permits to be taken care of within a timely manner. I expect you to meet the city inspector whenever they are coming in to do. Like, I went very granular with the new person, and they were like, yeah, this is what we should be doing anyway. So sometimes you got to get out of that situation to be able to get a full picture of what's really taking place. So then I wrote down, okay, there's different goals, but then there's also communication issues, right? So there's another partnership, and y'all, I got so many partnerships I can talk about. Like literally before I started recording this podcast, I was like, which story should I use? When you've been doing it a while, you have quite a few stories, but I think that's what gives us that tenacity. That's what gives us that grit. That's what gives us that push to be able to keep on going, to keep on pushing forward. Is going through these circumstances and learning how to grow from them. Because if I allow them to fold me, I probably wouldn't be sitting here before you guys right now. I probably would be sitting somewhere with my hands tucked between my legs, crying, emotional, devastated, losing money by the day. But by the grace of God, He didn't build me to be defeated. So I'm grateful for that favor and that faith that I operate in, right? And so when you realize, one of the other issues that are often found in bad partnerships or nightmare partnerships is going to be your communication. I learned with my children that I am convinced that I speak to them from Earth and they hear me through Mars. I am convinced of that. I can say very clearly, hey, do not leave the house without your room being cleaned, right? Make sure you make your bed. Make sure you pick the stuff up off the floor. Make sure you do this, right? All they hear is make sure the room is clean. But guess what? All the other stuff I said, they don't hear. So to them, their version of clean is not my version of clean. So when I go back and I say, hey, didn't I tell you to do this? They say, well, I did do it. I'm like, no, but that's not what I communicated. So what I learned to do as a real estate investor is I communicate everything in writing. People catch amnesia, contracts don't. So because I know contracts are not going to catch amnesia and people are, I'm going to make sure that the pain points, the things that really drive me bananas, the things that really get on my nerves, the things that really cost us money, time, and energy, all of those things, I'm going to make sure that I communicate up front. I'm in the process right now of bringing in some new people on my team. And we are constantly going back and forth. And what I love about it is that we're going back and forth with the communication because we want to make sure that we are aligned and that we're speaking the same language. So for instance, this one of the people that I'm looking to bring on my team, I want them to take over all of the developments. Well, I done been through a few frogs, so I'm not trying to kiss another frog. It's just been bad. It's just been bad, right? And so when you're in a bad partnership, a nightmare partnership, it is so exhausting. And it don't just affect you, it affect your family. So like the things I'm feeling at work, I'm bringing them home. I don't have the capacity to be where I want with my husband and or with my children, with my ministry. It's just like it takes so much out of you being in these exhausting partnerships. I can't stress that enough. And if you're out there and you're in an existing, if you're in an existing draining nightmare partnership, just end it. It don't matter what it costs. Just end it. The person that I'm looking to bring on, what I appreciate about this person is that they didn't just give me a yes, you're Terrica Lynn Smith. Absolutely, I want to work with you. Oh my gosh, this is a dream come true. I can't believe I'm working with the Terrica Lynn Smith. No, they're like, hey, let me do my due diligence. Let me make sure these numbers you're telling me you want me to come in at is even realistic. Let me go talk to the subs that's currently doing what you're asking me to do and make sure that your prices are not inflated. I love that. He's checking me against my own work. So that way, when the communication process takes place and we're talking about the subs, we're talking about the numbers, we're talking about the POs, we're doing all of these different conversations that you have, we're on the exact same page. So we meet again. This is the second meeting. I'm thinking surely we should be closer to the actual partnership agreement. But past experiences made me stop in my track and say, wait, pause. You're not tired of getting beat up? You're not tired of getting punched in the face? You're not tired of getting punched in the stomach? Do it the right way. I get to a place in my business where I'm a driver. Like, I just want to get to the end of it. Like, I can see the end of it. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I just want to get there. But for whatever ungodly reason, I want to skip a few steps. And right now in this season, God is showing me I can't skip a few steps. I have to make sure I take every single step the way that He ordered them. Because if not, I'm going to continue kissing frogs because the transfer of wealth is from the impatient to the patient. So if I'm constantly being impatient in this process, in this procedure, I'm going to constantly remain in nightmare partnerships, and I'm going to constantly be in a place of frustration, anger, anxiety, rage, like all of these things that are not of God. Because why? I'm skipping a few steps. And so what I'm teaching myself, even as an experienced developer, as an experienced investor, is sometimes we just got to slow down. I can't work on my business if I'm working in my business. That's for somebody today. You're so much involved in your business that you can't work on your business. You wonder why your business can't grow. It can't grow because you in it. You're suffocating it. You feel like you got to be at every exit door, making sure that you're on guard. But what I learned, just going through this process and transitioning and knowing that these nightmare partnerships are exhausting and draining, I would rather walk this alone and move a lot slower than be running into things that I don't even know is in the way. So I took that time to say, okay, I need to slow down here. Gut punch to myself. I don't need nobody to do it for me no more. And I had to appreciate what this person was doing. Because in my mind, I'm like, they moving too slow. But God said, I need you to write a plan and I need you to make it clear. You see, I didn't take the time to physically write out the plan. I spoke the plan. I was excited about the plan. I was ready to run with the plan. But what I didn't do with the plan, which was the most important step, was to write the plan. And so sometimes we naturally assume when you're going into business with someone, you naturally assume that they have this particular set of skills. That's why you get into a partnership with them, right? So I look at me and Derek partnership. He is, I call him Mr. Excel, Mr. Terms and Conditions, right? He has a gift with the Excel sheets that I simply do not have. I have a gift with the calculator that he has, but he prefer inputting and outputting on Excel. But what I learned was that the reason why me and Derek partnership work is because we have it written out. We understand what each other roles are, and we're not getting in the way of each other roles. I'm not teaching him and telling him how to go run finance, and he's not teaching and telling me how to go do investments. He's not telling me what to buy it, what not to buy it. He's not doing that. He's staying in his lane. He knows that he's a great underwriter. He knows that he's a great analyzer. He knows that he can put together a great performer. So why would I pull someone that I'm in partnership with from all of the things that they're really great at and then bring them somewhere else? When you're going into a partnership, you're going because they have a particular set of skills that you need to come into agreement with. So I'm grateful that I came into agreement with Derek and the skills that he had, because we have birthed a great partnership. We have invested in a ton of real estate together because of us coming into agreement and knowing the lanes that we are in together and knowing how to stay in our own lanes. So sometimes we come together and sometimes he go that way, I go that way, and we end up on the end in the same path. That's a good partnership, right? And so when I'm pinpointing how these partnerships are going bad, and like I said, I have so many, again, it goes back to that discernment, me rushing, right, to skip a step, not wanting to slow down, thinking slowing down meaning stop. Slowing down don't mean stop. It just means that you need to slow down. But in my mind, I had to understand I wasn't stopping, but I do got to slow down because I'm only running more and more and more into my business than I'm doing outside of my business. So if I'm looking to change 1 billion people's lives through real estate investing, I'm not going to be able to do that on the inside of my business. So the partnerships that I enter into now, I have to come in agreement that these partnerships are going to be able to scale us and take us to another place. Another great example of a good partnership I have is with my coach. Before we commit to the actual coaching of what my coach does, there's a whole list of expectations that he have for me. The number one expectation he has from me is to work the program. Why is that important? Because you can be getting coached and not do none of the work that they're telling you to do. It's almost like having a personal trainer, but you're only doing good while the personal trainer is standing before you. But when that personal trainer is gone, you're doing God knows what, right? So he has an expectation that whether he's in the room or not, I'm still following the program and the process that he has laid out. That's a great partnership because I know my coach, he don't play. Like, you're not about to waste his time. You're not about to get on his calendar if you have not done what he's asked you to do. Why is that a great partnership? Because he said it from up front. But not only did he say it, he had it written down. This is what I expect of my students that I am coaching. This is what I expect of them. So I enter into that partnership knowing, yeah, I'm going to pay $120,000 a year for coaching, but this is not just what I expect. It's not just what Terrica expect. It's what my coach expects as well. So he can terminate this agreement at any point in time if I'm not doing what is asked and what is written down. That's why that partnership works, because it's communicated very clearly. Then you got the part where it's that uneven effort. Let me see if I can break that down for you guys, right? Like, you ever been in a partnership where you feel like you're doing more than what the other partner is doing? I can't stand that feeling. You know why? Because I'm constantly looking at that person like, bruh, I'm over here doing all of this and you're not even holding up your part of it, right? I had a partnership that I was in where me and the partner, we was getting paid an actual construction fee to be able to do the renovations on this project. We had to split that renovation fee down the middle. So that renovation fee was $40,000. He got $20,000. I got $20,000, and we all had this work that we had to get done. Now you got to keep in mind in these renovations that it works together. So if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and I'm the only one doing what I'm supposed to be doing, it's not getting done because I can't move without him and he can't move without me. So when you realize that and you say, hey, I thought you was taking care of the HVAC and I thought you had the bids per our agreement, you're supposed to get the HVAC. You're supposed to get the bids from the HVAC companies and you're supposed to schedule them. Why is that important? Well, because I may need the electrician to come out there. So the electrician may have been assigned to me. HVAC is assigned to him. Well, HVAC can't finish what they doing until the electrician finish what they doing. And the electrician may need to know, certain information about the HVAC unit that only the HVAC unit guy can give. So when they're delayed in getting back bids and we don't have that point of contact for who's going to be doing the job and my electrician is looking at me for answers, there's a problem with that, right? It goes the same with the sheetrock and the painters. Okay, sheetrock is going to be done on this day. You're handling sheetrock. That means that you're scheduling it for it to be paid for, delivered, and then it's put up, it's floated, it's mudded, it's sanded, it's everything. It's prepped for paint. And then once they finish, I'm called in with the painters to go and do the paint. This is just the way we had this set up. Well, if I already got the painter lined up and I tell the painter, hey, look, sheetrock and everything should be done in the next 3 weeks because that's what was communicated with me. But then I find out sheetrock hasn't been started. The painter is now held up because the sheetrock haven't been started. The painter can't paint something that's not up. So now you got to go back to that partner and say, well, hey, you said that you were in charge of this. Why didn't you do that, right? So at the end of the day, I don't like the uneven efforts. It frustrates me because now we keeping score. That's what I call score watching, right? When you're in a good partnership, no one's keeping score. I tell my husband that all the time. The Bible tells us there's no record of our wrong. So why would I hold a record up against my husband if the Bible says that we do not record our wrongs? It goes back into my partnership with my business partners. I don't want to keep score. I don't want to hold a record of wrong. But what happens is we get into this place where the project is held up and somebody is at fault here. Now it costs money. Now it got to come out of somebody's portion. Why should it come out of mine if I've done everything up to this point and you were supposed to do everything up to that point? It's not fair. So what I'm not interested in is uneven efforts and partnerships. Those just will never work for me, because at the end of the day, I have to be equally yoked with that person that I am coming into agreement with. And y'all don't miss that, right? It's not just equally yoked in your marriage. It's equally yoked with your business partners. Like, that's like me going into business with someone that worships Satan. I can't do that. I'm God-fearing. Why would I? I don't care how good the contract look. I don't care what they've accomplished. I don't care what they've built. I don't care about none of that. I am afraid to get in trouble with God. So there's no way I can enter into this partnership. There was another opportunity that I had up in Dubai. And I remember looking at Derek and telling him, hey, I think we're going to just stay away from these particular investors in Dubai. There's something that's just not right with them. And being that I've gotten burned before already, it's not rocket science that these people are headed down the same path as the other people, right? So I put a pause on all of that because I don't like getting burned. I don't like my team getting burned. I don't like my partners getting burned. I don't like my inner circle getting burned. Like, I just don't like none of that. Shout out to my inner circle and protege members. For those of you who's watching, if you're like, what the heck is that? I do have a program where I coach thousands of students from all around the world on real estate investing, and we have a 5-day property challenge coming up that you guys should definitely click the link for. It should be at the bottom of the screen in the description. Click the link and join it, because I dive deeper into real estate formulas, transactions, partnerships, like what I'm talking about, and so many other things. But, you know, I'm very protective of the inner circle, right? Why am I protective of that? Because if I'm their coach, I'm supposed to be protecting their blind spots. So because I'm going before them, that means that I know the path that we're headed, and I've been here before. So let me go before you to make sure that you don't fall whenever, a cutoff is coming. Or let me go before you to make sure that you're not getting hit, or whatever the case may be, right? Like, let me just go before you. That's what a good coach does. And so in that partnership, it's very clear and it's outlined with that. So knowing that I had that situation in Dubai, knowing that the things didn't go the way that I wanted them to go, and knowing that I'm still fighting with whatever is taking place now, I went before and got a haircut, right? And now it's like, oh, I understand this gut punch right now. But that goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning, the discernment and running, skipping steps. You can't do it. You can't do it. You got to slow down when you're going into these agreements. Stop signing these partnerships with the wrong people, because, again, that's where my downfall is, right? I dismiss my discernment, and then I end up trying to figure out a way to get it. Now, I'm grateful by the grace of God that he has saved me from every bad partnership, nightmare partnership I was in. I'm so grateful for God for that. And I can tell you, there has never been anything that I lost that I could not get back. But a lot of the times, if we're not careful, we'll remain in these partnerships based off of fear. The fear of the unknown. You're bleeding all over, costing you all kind of money, but you just want to stay in this partnership because contractually you agreed to this. Sometimes you got to be okay with walking away with a L, that lesson, than staying there and continuously tearing you down, keeping you from other opportunities. Do you know when you're surviving, you don't know how to dream? I have yet to meet somebody who's in survival mode who says, I'm dreaming of this. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. That's not what it is. It's like, all I see is what's in front of me. I don't care about nothing else that's going on. All I see is what's in front of me and what's going on. And that's what I have to deal with right now. And that's how a lot of us deal with our problems and our circumstances. But again, get out the business, get out the partnership so you can work on the partnership. All right. Next thing I said is this, right? You have these situations where partners steal from you. I've had that happen. Then you got to get involved with the lawsuits. You bring legal in. Now you got to do financial audits. It's a nightmare, right? And you give somebody control over all the finances and they just steal from you. I had a situation where I had just started my real estate brokerage and I hired an assistant who was handling all of the deposits that were coming in from, my agents, myself, whatever the case may be. And what this person was doing was they was stealing from me right in front of my face. So what they would do is I would write a check to them. They would take a picture of that check, deposit it on the phone, the mobile deposit, then turn around and go deposit it through the ATM, the actual check. So now they got double amounts in their actual banking account. I would have never caught that because at that point in time in my life, I didn't know how to reconcile my books. To be honest, I still don't know how to reconcile my books. But I pay people to reconcile my books because I didn't go to school to learn how to reconcile books. I went to school to be a real estate investor, a real estate broker. I never went to school to do accounting or bookkeeping or being a financial controller or a CFO. None of that is my major. So when I tell you I know enough to make sure somebody is not stealing from me, that's what I know. And the only reason why I know that now is because somebody stole from me. So because I was not reconciling my books on a monthly basis, this person was doing this for months at a time until my banker called me and said, "Hey, Terrica, we see that there's duplicate checks in your bank account. I know you're not writing the same check number twice, right? With the exact same amount." I'm like, "No." They said, "Well, let me tell you what's going on. This person, whoever this name is, right? I'm not going to say their name. They're writing themselves a check twice by doing the mobile deposit and then by doing the ATM deposit. So the mobile deposit is on your phone. The ATM deposit is through the drive-through. They never have to see a teller." So by the time my banker called me, I said, "Well, how much have they done?" She said, "It's right at about $20,000. Or was it 30? I can't remember. It was 20 or 30. It's been a lot of years, right?" And I said, "What?" First of all, y'all, I didn't know I had that kind of money. I didn't know I had that kind of money to pay twice, if I'm being honest, okay? So that right there was an eye-opener for me because I was able to afford a whole lot more than what I thought I could. But then it hurted because this person seen that my last brokerage had kicked me out. My car had got taken. I lost my house. I'm pregnant. I'm in the worst state of my life trying to get through this. I'm losing everything. I felt like Job because this year, y'all, do me a favor. Don't pray for the patience of Job ever in your life, okay? Don't do it. Just take my advice. No, thank you. God, no, thank you. I was telling someone, everything I've asked God for, he has not given to me, but he has allowed me to have an opportunity through obedience to go get it. And it ain't always easy. And it take a whole lot of faith to get there. So by the time I found this out, y'all, I was so hurt and so devastated that she did this to me. I could not believe it, especially with her knowing that I was using my husband's paycheck to be able to make payroll. And I'm doing everything I can to stay open. My kids and myself, we're sleeping at the office, y'all, on the floor. I'm combing my children's hair in the office bathroom. I'm rushing to get ready so when all the agents walk through the office, they can't tell that I'm living there, right? I was devastated. So I said, how do I allow this not to happen to me again? Because you know what? I don't like feeling like this, but I also don't like having to watch over my back like that. God, can you send people around me that has been through the fire that I can trust? I'm talking about that Daniel friend, right? That's going to be there with me when times are good and the times are bad, and they're going to protect me and have my back and stand in agreement whether I'm there or not. And so with that, we had to go through all the legal parts of this, right? And I mean, this person went from being completely sweet to, "I love you, Terrica. You're so amazing. Thank you for this opportunity," to she could not stand my guts. I'm like, how you mad at me and you the one stealing? Like, how you mad that you get caught, right? And so we going through this whole entire process, and they're trying to offer me a settlement. I don't want the settlement. I want all my money back. Like, I'm sorry. I want all my money back. I'm not in a place to settle. I need all of my money back. So just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth through that, that was a never ending situation. And what I learned from that situation is that I never want to be in a place like that again. So I went and did two things. Number one, I hired someone to take care of my books. That was an investment, y'all, that I did not have into my business, but I needed to have. Some of you are trying to run your books, run your business, and do everything. You cannot do all of it. You're going to drop something. And if you're like me where, I am not an expert in Excel, right? I can Google how to create a formula, but it's just not my strong suit. So versus me spending 30 to 40 minutes trying to figure out how to create this Excel file to audit and reconcile and do all that, I'd rather pay someone who got the experience. I'd rather do business with someone who got integrity. I tell the people at my company all the time, we operate in the light. What does that mean, right? LIGHT. L is for loyalty. I is for integrity. G is for growth. H is for humility. And T is for transparency. Everything I do within my company, within my marriage, within me being a mother is all aligned to the light. How can I operate in the light? You see, the things that was taking place to me was in the darkness. I don't want partnerships in the dark. I want partnerships where lights can be shined and hair can be combed. What does that mean? I'm talking that white glove test, okay? That you open up everything that you're doing and show us everything that you're doing. This is your transparent moment right now. This is your time to say, I am built in the light. I operate in the light. You want to see my books? Here you go. You want to see my workflow chart? Here you go. You want to see if I'm at construction sites? Here you go. All my partnerships have to operate in the light, or I will not be in that partnership. So I'm being transparent with you guys because a lot of times we don't really realize how important it is for us to acknowledge where we're falling short at. So yeah, you may see I have a lot of real estate. You may see that I'm putting my children's name on street signs, but that crap was not easy. I got beat up a lot along the way to get to where I'm at today. And y'all, I still have a long road ahead of me. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking every single step by step by step by step. Why? Because I know that he who orders my steps will guide the way. So as long as I don't skip a step, I'm heading in the right direction. But the moment I decide to go in Terrica's will and in Terrica's way, I get in God's way. So I know how to now walk a straight path. I'm that child you only got to beat once or twice for me to understand how to, I don't want that beating no more. Like I said, I only prayed the patience of Job once in my life. And I don't even like to pronounce those words out my mouth. I don't want no confusion to come in between me and God where there's a mix up of me asking for that. I am not. I am not asking for that. But what I will say and stay true to is that you have to be willing to slow down and take the right steps in your partnerships. You can be in a nightmare partnership because of your own self. I had to get out of my own way. I had to get out of my business so I could work on the business. So when you're going into these partnerships, you want to avoid the things that I did wrong, right? I gave you guys a few steps of what I did wrong. But ask yourself the question, in the partnership that you're in right now that you're questioning, is it uneven? Are they operating in the light, right? Are the books right? Are they being honest? What does my discernment say about this person? I have to trust my discernment, right? I have to know that, right? It's the communication there. I got to make sure that we're communicating because, Lord forbid, we're not. Are we operating on the same goals? You see, when you have those type of conversations with your partners, whether it be through subs or general contractors, investors, startups, whatever the case may be. Apply this to whatever partnership you're going into. And guys, let me just be very clear what a partnership is. It is an agreement signed by two people. That's all it is. That's the simplest way to put it. So if you know how many agreements you have to come into in real estate, right? You have probably 20 to 30 different agreements. And each and every last one of them need to be discerned. But if you come into, if you pay attention, you come into agreement and you understand how you want to operate with these partnerships, and you be very clear and you detail it out and you don't skip a step, you're going to have very successful partnerships. So you don't have to go through the fire. If your coach is here saying, hey, don't go that way, you need to walk here, you need to go there, stay away from here. If you got that type of direction, then you're going to be on a path to success. The reason why I'm on a path to success now is because I started hiring my weaknesses. So I was about to touch on that a little earlier. I'm happy. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for reminding me of what I was saying, right? I hire my weaknesses. What does that mean? Accounting is not my strong suit. It never was. Even in real estate school, the only thing I knew how to calculate was commissions. When it got to the amortization schedules and all of these different type of things, that was not my strong suit. But I'm a great underwriter with real estate deals, so I understand the real estate math. But when it comes to the performance, the projections, and dialing all the way into the granulars of those things, that takes a person who has been trained on how to do that, right? There's a special training for that person. Another weakness, right, that I may have is in regards to property management. I hired a property manager, so I don't have to be the property manager. So me up here trying to handle all of these real estate investments, doing make-readies, no. I hired someone. So when I hired someone, that's a partnership, guys. That's coming into agreement, right? That's why I say there's so many different agreements that you can come into, and you have to be careful that, number one, you're discerning. Number two, you're not skipping a step. You're not rushing. Number three, your goals are aligned. Number four, the communication is there. Lord forbid. Number five, they're operating in the light. They're being transparent. All of those things matter, and all of those things are equally important whenever coming into agreement. And again, like I said, in real estate, you're going to come into a lot of agreements with people. So as a real estate investor, you take your time and you check all your boxes, and you make sure you go through the entire process to make sure that your goals are aligned with your partner goals. So do me a favor. If you guys like this podcast, do me a favor, share it with 3 people. Bless 3 people with this podcast. Share it with 3 people. Like and subscribe to the channel. We have so many different things going on. All of it is in the description below. Just click a link and find out what's going on. Get connected with us. Join my email list where I'm sending out weekly newsletters and updates and just all the real estate knowledge, things that's taking place right now. Y'all might have questions about the tariffs and how it's going to affect our market. All of those different type of things we're talking about with our email investors. So join, click the link below. I'll see you guys. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Property Challenge Podcast with your host, your girl, Terrica Lynn Smith. I'm out.